Hello, welcome back to Resilient and Rowdy. This is your host, Jess. I'm back, bitches. I told y'all. Yeah, so today I have the lovely Jennifer on. Hey, girl.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so glad that we're finally doing this. It's been a long time coming, and thank you for coming on. But definitely just want to kick off the episode really quick with just you introducing yourself, and then we'll get into how we met.
So I'm Jennifer Aun, and gosh, where do I start? I am an engineer by trade slash career, electrical design engineer, about to switch it up here shortly. Also, I was in the Army Reserves. I know we have that in common. We were both Seaburn in the Army, which is really cool. We have so much in common. Just finished active reserves recently in January. So we're both part of the women veteran community online on social media. And I also own a couple of small businesses. Peach Shells Apparel is the one that's my venture that I've been like headed of on my own with my husband's help. And then we also run the Would Be Official and a couple other ventures. And yeah, that's me in like a little summary nutshell, a nerd and trying to be somewhat of an entrepreneur, but I'm not too serious about that title.
Shit. Okay, we got a badass Barbie over here. I'm just blown away. It's very impressive. And you're also like really humble and just so,
I try to not take myself too seriously. I try to
no,
have
but
fun.
I just love the way that you carry yourself because I'm just really inherently like very impressed with like your background and like just all the different things that you do. That's fun. It's like a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
Okay, and yeah, I will say the Peach Shells clothing is deliciously soft. Go check out her boutique. It is so freaking cute. And then Whoopi, that's like top of the line Whoopi. You can't there's just like no competition. That is the one. If you want a good Whoopi, that's who you go to. I guess I'm just gonna interrupt with a little story, but I didn't know that you could like I told Jennifer this, but I was like, I didn't know that you could just write off your Whoopi and you could keep it. I gave that back with my white knuckles. I was like, "No, I don't want to. How dare you?" But anyways, then I came across Will Be Official and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." Anyways, so yeah, badass babe that's into a lot of different things. So shoot, girl, okay. But we met over a lot of our similarities. So being women veterans, I don't really consider myself an entrepreneur, but like the podcast is a fun project. I like being motivated and inspired by like other people in the community. It's been really interesting to see who you connect with. So I connected with Jennifer and also women veteran entrepreneurs. That's like a niche within a niche. And so I was like, wow, like this is a really impressive chick. Engineering anything, like I can't even process that. So I'm just like, whoa, okay, smart. But then you're pursuing entrepreneurship and just trying to be like a badass business babe. And so we share that too. It's like you want to be a part of the community, you want to find friendship, you want maybe some mentorship or just bouncing off ideas off people. Like, I think
Mhm.
in theory, us all wanting to help each other succeed is like such a wonderful thing. And who wouldn't be drawn to that group of women?
Mhm.
It's like, on paper it sounds amazing, but I think everything that's happened so far will make us say it doesn't have this perfectly crystal clear reputation, which is really unfortunate. And I do want to add to our listeners that we are not talking about anyone specifically. We just want to have this really important conversation.
Mhm.
And if the shoe fits, then wear it. But
Mhm.
it's just it's a heavy and it's a serious topic, but we're going to try to approach it in a way of what can we do about this? Like, why is this
Mhm.
going on? So, again, thank you for coming on. But I guess when you first started your venture as an entrepreneur, what were things that you were like looking forward to with entering the female veteran space as a business owner, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So that was actually, I always like that question because I guess people will always be curious and will ask, so why did you start your business? And the reason why I specifically started my business when I did wasn't because I felt ready, because I was anything but ready. Like, you gotta just pull the plug and just do it, figure it out as you go, because you will thank yourself in the long run. Like, for starting when you did, rather than putting it off, because we had put it off for a couple months and we should have just started right when we had the name and filed for the business and whatnot. But the main reason why I wanted to start a business specifically in around the veteran community, like women veteran community, was because I saw that there's a lot of other businesses in the space that claim that they want to empower women and do all these things and support one another, which is all amazing stuff,
Yeah.
all great. I was involved with several businesses and people that have businesses and whatnot in the space already prior. And unfortunately, I had a bad experience, and I knew other women that had bad experiences in such groups where there was just like catty behavior, like high school all over again, like group chats where people are really mean to other women, and they're out there on public social media pages acting like that's their best friend and that they look great complimenting one another and whatnot. And it's whoa, in the private messages you're trashing the same person that you just commented, oh, yes, queen, you look great. It's what the hell is going on? And I get it when you don't like someone, say they've been rude to you in the
Mhm.
past. Some people have it warranted, especially if they're bad people. They've done some bad stuff. Okay. I hate to say that it's okay, because it's really not okay to ever go after someone's appearance or what they look like, especially if it's like insecurities that they've been vocal about and whatnot. That's not cool at all. But the fact that I was seeing women that say that they want to look past all that and make other women feel beautiful and included and have this inclusive like community that supports everyone, and specifically women veterans, I saw anything but what they said that they were about. And I was like, you know what? That's BS. And it sucks feeling like you can't even say anything, because then you're going to be alienated from the space and you'll get canceled. I said to myself, enough is enough. I've always been this sort of person that has spoken up and said something when something wrong is happening.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the same experience happened to me when I was in the Army Reserves. I had to file an IG complaint because my leadership wasn't taking care of me as they should have been. And I had to fight for my spot to go to basic leaders course in order to get promoted to an NCO,
Mhm.
which every time I tell that story, everyone tells me it is insane that you had to fight and wait like more than a year just to get a slot in a school that people usually are like pushed and forced to go to. And I wanted to go. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
I all the check marks were checked. I was green across the board, was a PT star, everything. Like, and I was begging to go. I wanted to get my stripes, do good things, and really be a good leader to soldiers, mentor them, like. And it was like from there, honestly, like everything like started like falling apart. So it felt like I was let down, but I was like, I'm not gonna let that stop me. I fought for what I deserved, and I went and I got my slot, and I went to school, I got my stripes, did my time, mentored, got to promote soldiers and whatnot. And then here I am again in the space as a NCO in the reserves, trying to like just better myself and better women that I'm friends with and push them to like go and do great things too. And here I am experiencing like anything but what people say that they're about. So I wanted to start my own company. Like, actually, I want to do that, but actually do it. Like, and have a safe space where maybe women that like also feel the same way can come. And if not, it's okay. I was still supporting these people and companies after I started my own business. I didn't go and say, hey, like only support me, only buy from me. Like I've never been one to say that because we're all adults and I truly support, like I truly want everyone to support one another. And it sucks having, you know, been treated in a way that like I was people defame me, they canceled me, they talked crap about me, spread lies, rumors. Now I'm like involved in a legal situation trying to defend my business and myself. And yeah, that's why I started. I know I went off on quite a tangent, but I know it all makes sense to what we want to discuss.
Yeah, where do I begin with responding to that? But no, I think you touched on uh, really good points, really good valid reasons, and it's almost just I'll continue to say it because it's just disappointing. At this day and age, it's just disappointing. You go into a space thinking good things. There's going to be drama everywhere. You're not going to like everyone that you meet, and
Mhm,
that's okay. It's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies, but when you're literally setting up an environment where bullying, harassment, threats, like spamming people on their social media accounts, reporting their accounts when
mhm,
all they're doing is trying to speak up and do what's right
mhm,
or call out bad behavior and hope that you fix it, especially in the veteran sector. It's like that's what we were used to with corrective training. Let's
mhm,
call it that. So you fix your shit. That's why a lot of people go into the military and their skills overall improve. And like the type of leader that they're hopefully trying to become is a solid person. Like they have their ducks in a row. If they don't, you want a buddy to correct you, or do you want
mhm,
to just go out there and fail? Or if you're just not prepared. But if you get, I hate saying the terminology because it can be very triggering to people, but this all in the nicest way possible. If you're being called out for some nasty behavior, some catty behavior, you're being fake, you're being two faced, that's just your opportunity to apologize, own up to it, and fix it. That's all a majority of people want. But you'll notice that throughout whatever season or chapter in your life you're in right now, you're going to come across people this way, not just women, mostly women, but
mhm,
people. And so you have to figure out like, how am I going to move forward? What do I do? Do I want to be in a community but also feel like a loner? Or do I call it out? But when
mhm,
you call it out, again, they get triggered. They don't always hold themselves accountable. They run, they
mhm,
point fingers, and you can't always be the victim. Like,
mhm,
you're like, we both play a role in everything. And I sincerely say that because Jennifer and I both are people pleasers, and we do that to a certain extent where it's also our responsibility to speak up. You can let a lot of things slide, but they'll accumulate. And it's not that resentment builds or anything, but it's you finally have the final straw and you're just like, okay, you went too far.
mhm,
And so when you say your opinion, we're just like berated or gaslit into thinking that we're the wrong ones.
mhm,
And that's what's crazy to me is I can own up to maybe I didn't communicate better or what have you, but all I know is that I go into everything very honest. I have good intentions,
mhm,
and I'm also just here to elevate and be elevated. Who
mhm,
doesn't want a group of cheerleaders like cheering them on, because there's room for everybody. That's just what blows
mhm,
me away is why are we experiencing these issues? And it's almost like, am I the problem? Was I the problem for even speaking up? Why is that? Why is saying the truth such a bad thing now? And it would be different if it was a biased true. Because I think you mentioned earlier, if you disagree with someone, that's between you and them. You're not gathering masses of people to hate on someone for calling you out for your bad behavior.
mhm,
So I think that, amongst everything, definitely speaks volumes because it's like if you have a problem with me, that's between you and I.
mhm,
But in certain contexts, some people don't like that. They're like, oh, how dare you
mhm,
say that about me? Like, you're all the names, all of that. It's just always
mhm,
like you and never, oh, you know what? You're right. I did mess up, or I'm sorry that just anything, something, but you're not always met with that. So I understand it's gonna happen in life, but in a business space, in a creator space,
Mhm.
in a women veterans space, it just makes us look bad. It
Mhm.
looks like we're the sequel to Mean Girls, but it's
Mhm.
women in their 30s and 40s, and I'm tired of it. Again, you're gonna come across people you don't like in any stage and chapter in your life, but some people just take it too far,
Yeah.
and I'm just over here, are you bored? Are you projecting?
Mhm.
You Are you a little bit narcissistic?
Yeah.
But it's just disappointing. Like, I'll say that again. I'll say that till just my tongue falls off, but
Mhm.
you're an entrepreneur trying to do your thing, and then you're just met with all of this. I can't imagine how it must feel, like, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, professionally. So,
Mhm.
like, how have you been able to basically just survive dealing with all of this? Because you're also not the only one.
Mhm.
You're not. So,
Though glad you like put it like, yeah, I'm not the only one, because that's actually how me and you started talking, right? Is you saw my stories where because I'm always like, I'm a big advocate for, I don't want to paint a niche. I only post certain things and I want to seem a certain way on social media. Everyone that watches my stuff knows I get on my story and I just like to say what's up. I don't care if it looks a certain way or if it sounds rude or if it's too much. I've been attacked for what I post on my stories all the time, but I'm like, that means I'm standing up for something, right? That means I'm speaking my mind. And I think that's how social media should be. It's like you should be entitled to freedom of speech. Like, there's nothing wrong with speaking the truth and saying how you feel or your experiences. And that's how we connected with one another was, I posted something that like resonated with you and you're like, oh my God, like this kind of fits my situation. And like, I want to talk about it. And it seems like we've gone through the same thing. And it turns out we did. And we found a lot of common, unfortunate similarities in our experiences. And it honestly, like, you've been like such a great friend. Like, in the little time that we've had to talk to one another, we talk every day for hours now. And honestly, like, I think that's also why we wanted to like to get on the podcast and talk about it and be like, hey, messaging someone like as a way to reach out and want to discuss something that you feel is like a similar experience that you share with someone. That's why you want to be vocal and open and honest about stuff you're going through, because people that are either going through the same thing or they have already gone through that and now they moved past that, they had trouble and they found a way to get out of that negative like rut that they were in, and they don't mind helping others out because they know how it's that's where you're going to get support. Like, so you have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, but you have to be honest and open, like in order for people to be able to know, hey, yeah, like I'm over here going through this. And that's what I've been trying to do. And a lot of people have reached out and have said, I'm glad that you're speaking up about what you're going through and certain things. And it's unfortunate people that have done a lot of women in the space wrong. It sucks to have to call them out, but obviously it gets to the point where, okay, it's like something has to be said, because either they went too far with me or it's been others as well. And that's how it's been. And it just sucks that it seems like we feel like we have to tread carefully because, for example, my case, like I had a feeling something was said to a group of people because I saw all of a sudden, unfollows at the same time after one another, the same group of people that like have something in their bio that's all the same. It's, oh, I wonder what happened, because all these people started unfollowing not just me, my business, like a business that like I did not ask these people specifically to come and support me. So it's like, what is going on? Like, there is a rumor spread about me? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. So it turns out like, yeah, that's what happened. And like my intuition was right about noticing like that's weird. Like what was it that I could have done or said? And it's all a mystery still what it was. But yeah, I'm glad that me and you started talking, and it took being vulnerable on both of our ends in order to make that connection. But having people to be able to vent to and talk to and relate to there when you need them has been the biggest help through everything. And it sucks too because we are both people pleasers. And I overshare all the time. Like I overshared right away when we started talking. But it was awesome because we were like meeting one another, equally. So it's okay. Like it's okay because like she's also sharing with me like the same, so yeah, just from there. And but if someone does attack me later on because I was vulnerable and open and honest with them, I don't care if you share our screenshots of our messages because you want to be that way. Because you know what? If I'm oversharing, it's because I felt comfortable oversharing because you were sharing something with me that I felt like I could trust you. But it's been so like, definitely as of recently, it sucks having to put up a wall, especially as the further you get in the business venture world. You have to put up those walls because some people might just be out there to try to get information out of you. And that sucks. But at the same time, I'm just like, put up walls, but also don't let go of like how like who you are and why you came into the space and why you wanted to have a voice to begin with. Don't let go of who you truly are. Don't try to be something that you're not. Yeah, just be honest and vulnerable and don't be scared of people, especially if you're speaking the truth.
I think that last note is like crucial to everything going on because a lot of people aren't willing to be honest and vulnerable. And so that's why there is this miscommunication. And, of course, things are going to be a little uneasy if one party is being dishonest
Mhm.
and disloyal. So you just make it messier than it needs to be. Like, personally, I'm pooped. I love my peace and quiet. I love just chilling. I don't need to create chaos where there doesn't need to be chaos. So
Mhm.
that's what's just frustrating is like all of this could be alleviated if we were just honest with each other and vulnerable. Yes, it sucks. And yes, it's hard. But when you have nothing but good intentions, like when I came to you, yeah, you are putting yourself out there. And a lot of people actually suffer from like rejection sensitivity. Like I think a lot of people need to process that is you, not them.
Mhm.
Anyways, so yeah, you have to be vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there, but it pays off in the end because within our conversations and even just day to day, I feel validated. I don't feel alone. And I
Mhm.
feel like I'm not the crazy one. I feel I'm going to try to be as unbiased when I tell my side of the story. But really, it's just so that I can really process what happened. And that way, if I was wrong, then I'm wrong. But if I'm not necessarily, it's not the point of being right. But if I did my best, I showed up honest, I did all the right things. Why is this happening?
Mhm.
But the the givers will always give and the takers will always take. And honestly, it sucks. It's up to us to be able to put up that boundary and be like, hey, you know what? I have nothing to give today. I need to
Mhm.
take care of me. And so that's where the past couple of years I've definitely been working on that. Because again, the whole people pleasing thing is I kept asking myself, am I doing something wrong? What am I doing? Because you can point fingers all day, but I think it's always good to have that self awareness on, okay, what's within my control? Because I don't want this to keep repeating. I don't want to keep getting burned. I don't want to keep meeting mean girls.
Mhm.
And I want to clarify that when I say mean girls, the behavior that I've been talking about in this episode. If you and I have a disagreement, there's no need for you to get your whole gang of girls to unfollow me, to not support me, to send me horrible messages on
Mhm.
burner accounts. Like, that is mean girl behavior
Mhm.
because there's been a misconception that we're the mean girls for putting our
Mhm.
foot down, for speaking up, for sharing our truth, the truth, because what do we have to gain other than putting all our shit out there and being
Mhm.
embarrassed or taking that loss? It's to help other women not go through that. There's no need to have this type of behavior still late 20s, early 30s, 40s. It's just, it's very childish. It's very immature behavior. And
Mhm.
this could all just be avoided. But what I want to get at is that there's a way to just be above it. You stay true to yourself. Like,
Mhm.
acknowledge like what you did right, what you could have done better, and if you were wrong in any sense. But I don't see that from both parties. And I think that's also another frustration. So it's, you have to learn to keep pushing amongst being surrounded by people that are supposed to be your biggest supporters.
Mhm.
But in the veteran space, you've seen the memes, girl. A veteran's biggest hater is nothing other than another veteran. And it's
Mhm.
sad and it shouldn't be that way. And before anyone comes at me like, oh, Jess, it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. That's not what I'm asking for. But like, I'm asking
Mhm.
for professionalism. And I think
Mhm.
trying to handle all of this on top of your personal life, what other responsibilities you do have, and a social life too, maybe, hopefully, it's necessary burden on our plate. What can you do other than just establish that boundary, speak up when you need to, but at least you did it. I can admire both of us and other women who have come up and put their foot down and say, you know what, I'm not tolerating this anymore.
Mhm.
Because it takes a backbone to do that. It takes a spine. And
Mhm.
sometimes you want to give your friend a benefit of the doubt that, oh, okay, she's saying that this girl heads up or like a warning, but it's not actually anything credible. It's just personal beef, or they're intimidated, or they're jealous.
Mhm.
You're not going to be the only female owned and operated veteran business. And so by bullying, harassing, stalking, like all this stuff, it's, you're just painting the picture for yourself.
Mhm.
You're not really hurting me because I'm just here. I'm just chilling. And likewise, you too. You're just trying to be a businesswoman. You're trying to have a piece of the pie. And you're like trying to bounce ideas off or just chatting or trying to make friends, like people that
Mhm.
you, and then you're just met with this. So like I mentioned earlier, we're the ones that are wrong for just saying it. And I think that's the weird
Mhm.
part.
Yeah, like that's, and it's a good point too, because it's like it makes you wonder like why don't people question, hey, yeah, this person is calling out this person, right? But let's think about how many times this said person that maybe they should be afraid of or whatnot, or has been in the space longer, have they ever taken ownership of being wrong and admitting that they were wrong? Have they ever apologized for something that you heard that they maybe did or that someone didn't like? What is this person's track record? That's another thing that like people probably neglect to think about is, yeah, I've heard rumors about someone, but of course you're like, I want to form my own opinion on them, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's just be cautious, because why would all those rumors be out there if there wasn't some validity to being out there? I don't think people start false rumors, especially like multiple people like that, especially the ones that have decided to get out of the space because of the toxicity. And I hate, I've told you this before, I know, I hate to see the community like turn, just get worse and worse because no one puts their foot down. And that's why I decided, okay, like I am going to speak on my experiences, because at the end of the day, like I think about it like how I was in the army. Like I fought for my NCO slot because I knew I was a good person and because I did want to do good things, not because I wanted to use being an NCO and going up the chain to my advantage. Like I fought for it because I was already mentoring soldiers. So
Right.
I wanted to show them that I was willing to put my foot down and willing to speak up, do the right thing, and go all the way with it, because I'm sure that resonated with them and hopefully encourage them to do the same thing, to stand up for yourself and just know, like, at the end of the day, you have to put yourself first and take care of yourself first and go after what it is you deserve and you want, especially like when someone's keeping it from you because they don't want you to have a piece of the pie or have a seat at the table. That's not right. Like everyone, especially the ones that put in the effort to try, should have their space and be able to be part of the community if they desire to be part of the community. I don't know why it seems like a lot of like women that have been in the space for a long time, it's like they gatekeep their clout on social media and they don't want others, not part of their inner circle, to have any part
Yeah.
of it. It's like, why do we constantly see the same people on these big pages reposted all the time, or the same stories, the same people? It's like, where are all the other women veterans at? We see the same ones constantly over and over again. It's like I'm tired of seeing that. So I was just trying to do my part in trying to change that, but I obviously got backlash, and I was, you know, people try to cancel me and false rumors were spread. And but I'm doing the same thing that I did when I was in the army. I'm standing up for myself and I'm trying to correct the problem. And unfortunately, if the shoe fits, if you got to be made an example, then you're going to be made an example, because I don't quit and I don't back down. So we're in it to the end.
I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. And I know it's hard. It's never easy. And you're always like second guessing, or you might be, not always. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you might be second guessing yourself. And that's why
Mhm.
the more people that come forward, okay, there's a trend, there's a tendency of certain behaviors here. So we know who the problem is. Sometimes you just wonder why, especially the gatekeeping. It's not less pie for you. They
Mhm.
can exist in the same space, or maybe it's the same thing, but isn't a little competition healthy?
Mhm.
Isn't seeing someone that's good at what they do, doesn't that inspire you?
Yep.
When you're insecure, you're gonna
Mhm.
feel a little threatened, and that's okay, but it's what you do about it. As I remember being in the podcasting space, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're coming out with a podcast too." But now I'm like, "You know what? Okay, that's interesting conversation. There's room for everybody. Like, good for them." And that's how easy it is. But instead,
Mhm.
people project those insecurities, and it's just sad because I'm like, "Girl, you're doing great. There's no need for you to be putting me down. I'm not
Mhm.
putting you down. What's with that?" I don't know. So that's just something that came up for me for why people might be doing what they're doing, women particularly.
Mhm.
Because shit gets petty in this space, obviously. And it's a lot to take the high ground, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. And I think
Mhm.
having this conversation is good because it's not just about the drama, it's just the message, it's the bullying, it's the
Mhm.
putting women down, but you say that you're about empowerment or being an advocate. Like all of these peace words have been foiled and tainted
Mhm.
by people establishing very bad behavior behind the scenes. And you and I both know how much Instagram and particularly, but social media as a whole is just flex central. Because
Mhm.
everything is very calculated,
Mhm.
very let me try to seem a little relatable, but also not, especially in a certain space of advocacy and empowerment and stuff like that. Girl, just say that you copied that from Pinterest and go. I'm sure you just took someone's paragraph from their blog and posted
Mhm.
on your Instagram. And so it sucks because you want them to be real, to be legit, but it's all just a facade. A lot of
Mhm.
people in this space use whatever niche that they have to naturally, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to lure you in, but it's all just a front. So
Mhm.
I think what I'm hearing is a lack of ethics and morals and values, and it's
Mhm.
more disappointing when it's people in this space in particular because we're veterans. The
Mhm.
military holds certain values, and let's be real, you could go either way. You could be literally like a fucking hood rat in the military, or you could be like on top of your shit and growing and learning as a leader. Or maybe a little bit in between, some shenanigans, some fun stuff, some smart
Mhm.
stuff too. But when you don't really see that in this space now as veterans, you're just like, "Okay, what? Like,
Mhm.
how has nobody checked you? How has nobody told you what you're doing is wrong?"
Mhm.
So that's why it's just so serious, and it's such an important thing to do because it's like they've gotten away with this behavior for so long. So in some way, shape, or form, hopefully people do hold themselves accountable, but also let themselves be held accountable by others. It's just all we want for you is to do better.
Mhm.
but usually they just run and they like deactivate their Instagram or they hide or they just lurk on their burners or something. But it's just weird how all of this jealousy and toxicity just like seeps into the cracks and just breaks down the foundation of just something that could be really great. But I think
Mhm.
you can see that in multiple aspects, politics, religion, it all has good intentions, or it should, and then you
Mhm.
just see how it doesn't work out that way. Um, and all the little petty things. So I think talking to you about it all has just been like, "Oh, you're getting that too? You see that too? So and so is doing this," or what
Mhm.
have you. It's just, okay, I know I'm not crazy. It's just the space is just that bad. But what I
Mhm.
think we're trying to do overall is just hold them accountable so that, we don't have this image for the community, and you're actually empowering women. You're actually an advocate and not selling yourself for a check. Certain people will run together and you're just like, "Oh, okay." And now you're like second guessing
Mhm.
the organizations and stuff that they're with. So
Yeah.
there's like layers to it.
It sucks, like, wanting to be part of something that's you thought was, like, a good mission statement, or they're trying to truly do good things, and it sucks feeling like you have to be hesitant to want to, like, ask about it or be part of it or associate yourself with it, especially if you've been burned in the past. Like, it really sucks that there's no way to, like, just know, okay, if I get involved with this company or that group, what have you, am I potentially getting myself in yet another letdown? Am I going to get burned again? Like, it really sucks, especially because this community, as much as we would love to believe that it's big, it's not. You don't want to associate yourself with someone that you thought was a good person, and then it turns out like they're not, and now you're also associated with that, so other people will assume, oh, they must have known, so they're in on it too. But it's okay, what do people know, what do they not know? And it's crazy that the people that are the ones that are doing things wrong, they go out and try to spread their claws onto everyone, and the fact that they just want for themselves, that's the reason why we keep seeing them over and over again, and why we don't see anyone else new or like upcoming in the community trying to also put themselves out there, because they hog the spotlight for themselves and they're trying to grow their platform, and then they use that platform for mean girl things, like to tell people who they should follow, who should they should support. So first of all, yourself why you're putting this person that is telling you that you shouldn't support another woman veteran that's wrong in itself on a pedestal. And why don't you just go and form your own opinion and maybe back away a little bit, because you shouldn't have to listen to someone say, hey, I don't like this person, so don't go support them. It's don't go saying that sort of thing and then come back and be like, oh, but I'm the victim because people just don't like me, they're jealous of me, that's why they're saying these things about me. It's, are they really, or did they get burned by you and they're just trying to speak their truth and put themselves out there so people know, hey, stay away from this person? Because why else would someone really go against someone that's supposedly this popular big person in the space? Like, there's no reason other than something happened and someone isn't taking ownership of the things that they did.
Oh my God, 100%. So at this point, it's like y'all need to be asking questions. You need to be, what
Mhm.
happened? What are the details? Will they say the same thing happened? Or is this like a one-sided thing, or things that you made up in your head, or just something that's blown out of proportion, or you running from accountability? I need to see some screenshots, girl. And that's where I was just like, you know what? I need to think for myself,
Mhm.
and I need to sit down and realize what's actually being put on the table in front of me, trying to be considerate of both sides because it's not always what you think it is. I'm going to be a girl's girl and I'm going to tell you, hey, avoid that guy over there, Chad, because he cheated on his last girl, like, or something like that. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna know, hey, this guy isn't good for you. Yeah, he's cute, but just don't bother. And that should be the same with like with women. It's hey,
Mhm.
she's used and abused people. She's manipulated things. She's scammed people. She's done this, that, and the third. Like serious shit.
Mhm.
Sometimes I was gonna say, like, sometimes, like, personal things or, like, petty things are a little, like, irrelevant,
Mhm.
but I do wanna know, "Hey, is this person a racist?" Or have they said fucked up shit? Or
Mhm.
I just wanna see where you align yourself as a person. I know that people make mistakes and can improve themselves and be better or do better next time, but I need to see where, like, a lot of your really important core values lie as a person, as a woman, because I can get it if someone gives me the heads up, "Oh, hey, she does this or she does that, or she says these things about women who are survivors." It's really weird when women are just that hateful towards each
Mhm.
other without you wondering, like, why? So, that's just where I'm at. I'm gonna think for myself and I'm gonna ask
Mhm.
some questions, but sometimes you don't like, why is that bad? Why do I look like the asshole? Why do I look like the jerk for
Mhm.
it's like the music stops, and it's like, "Ah, how dare she?"
Yeah.
But that's how it is. It a lot of these things aren't very dramatic, but I think women have this emotional side to them that we do blow things out of proportion sometimes. So it's just like, "Hey, it's good that your friend is asking questions. They just
Mhm.
wanna understand this isn't a threat to you, but I do wanna know. What did this person do to you, or what has this person done for you to say those things, to tell me to avoid this person because I need to know.
Mhm.
Am I just hating people just to hate people? I just don't that doesn't sit right with me. So if you're someone that's going through these similar things, it's okay to ask yourself questions because that just means that you're self-aware and you're
Mhm.
really trying to process and be logical about the situation rather than just letting emotions run high. Do that. But to sit down and just think about it, anyone can benefit with that. Like, why are
Mhm.
we just in such a hurry to do things? Like, w why are you being told those things? Are you easily influenced? That should
Mhm.
kinda seem something that you dive into, but, yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned that because it's okay to ask questions. It's not weird,
Mhm.
and I think the response to that should also show you the person that you're dealing with. If you're not allowed to ask questions,
Mhm.
not allowed to have your own opinion, you might want to sit back and reevaluate like who you're with. And I will add to that, being the loner or the person that doesn't agree with everyone, yeah, it sucks and it's hard, but it's the best option always because like how do you know where it ends? How do you know that this won't be the first or the last time that they ask you to do something like that? And you're just like,
Mhm.
always go for it, always I get it, like, y'all say ride or die, but it's okay to, "Hey, I got questions. Where are we riding to? Why are we dying?"
Yep.
So, I know it's hard. No one wants to be the outcast. No one wants to stand alone, but when it comes to whatever situations you're dealing with, it's okay and you'll find your people and better to be alone and upholding your morals and values than to stoop down to that level. Like it sucks that your friend would take advantage of you in that way and tell you, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, she's just not a good person." But like you said earlier, she's just trying to hold you accountable on something that you did that wasn't okay.
Mhm.
So, like I get it. Feeling left out. People talk about FOMO a lot. Sorry, I'm like but it's important to point that out. You know,
Mhm.
we're saying all these things like it's easy, but it's not. But in the end, it does pay off because I am so glad that I am just nothing like that, or I'm just staying away from that. It's okay to say, "Hey, I'm better than that," because I don't like that type of drama. I don't like that type of BS. It's just it's not right. It's a waste of time, and it does nothing for me. So
Mhm.
I'd rather be in a different, more positive space or a real space where it's like, "Hey, Jess, what you said was a little out of line," or just something along the I'm like, "Oh, okay, wow, oof. Yeah, that hurts, that sucks, but you know what? Thank you for that. Thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for making sure that I don't say those things or just keep me in check." Those are the people
Mhm.
that actually care about you, that actually want you to do well. And so that's the kind of space that I want to be in. I know you want to be in too, but
Mhm.
it's really hard when you're just getting jabs all the time. For why?
Yep. Just knowing that, like, we can take criticism and we take it for what it is. Like, someone is saying something because they want you to be better. So the fact that some people take criticism or the shoe fits, for example, and they assume, oh, she must be talking about me because the world revolves around me. So now I'm going to go hate this person. And the one thing that gets me always is like, if you assume something is about you, why don't you just ask them directly, is this about me? Why do you have to go and turn it into something in your head that it is not and start drama? And
Yeah.
this person probably, it has nothing to do with you. So now this, because I've been in that spot multiple times where it's like, well, you must have been pointing the finger at me. It's no, I was not pointing the finger at you
Yeah.
at all. And
Yeah.
now I have no idea that like you had this like war against me in your head going on for God knows how long. And now you're coming to me like, oh, I got the receipts. Okay, awesome. That's great. I own up to what I say. So great. Good luck with your receipts. I don't know where you're going to go with such receipts, but
I
I'm
know
happy
what
to
I said.
repeat anything that I said because I own up to my words. And when I feel like people are trying to stab at me, I've approached them in the messages. In the messages, I do it respectfully. In the messages, an adult woman should address things privately and respectfully, give people their time to respond, and say, hey, I'm concerned. Is this about me? What did I do wrong? Ask, did I
Yeah.
do something? Please tell me what it is. That's been my thing. I've done that with so many people and they act fake in the messages. Like they're like, "No, everything is great. Everything is fine." And then it gets even worse because they don't want to address their behavior. They don't
Yeah.
want to be accountable and they do no wrong.
Somehow you trying to just have a conversation and make sure that everything's okay somehow
Mhm.
adds tension to y'all. And again, maybe I'm just going through some stuff in my life that could be similar to something that you and I or whoever have had go on to, and you're like, hey, are you talking about me on your story? Trust me, I wouldn't be talking about it. I would be talking to you about it. Anything that I'm posting doesn't relate to anybody. But if the shoe fits, then I'm sorry. Why are you coming to my page to hurt your own feelings? And I'm talking about
Mhm.
some puto that I've been talking to on Hinge or something. You're like, oh, is she talking about me? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Just, but thank you for asking. And I think it's hard. It's also hard to do this via social media, via text, because people aren't into phone calls. I've noticed
Mhm.
that. And I like phone calls, but I get it when you have to do text message or something like, but that's where a lot of miscommunication happens, and like you perceive someone's message, whether they add a period or not, or punctuation or like the
Mhm.
tone, but maybe it's also you're possibly a little sensitive right now
Overthinking it.
and overthinking it. Yes,
Mhm.
100%. And someone responding to you, "Oh, okay," is just, "Oh, okay," not,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay." Drop the attitude and acknowledge, because that was a problem of mine too. Like, I would be, like, crying over text. I'm like, "Oh my god, was she mad at me, or did I piss him off or something?" And it's just, "No, no, no. Let me not assume. Let me
Mhm.
ask." But also, I need to acknowledge, "Hey, I'm a delicate flower, okay? It's been really hard for me to come to terms with that. I'm a badass bitch, but I'm a delicate flower." And
Mhm.
so when I care about you, when it's someone I care about, the tone definitely matters to me because I want to pick up on the energy. I want to pick up on the vibe. Because sometimes, whether we want to admit to or not, like when you're a little pissy with your partner or something, you're like, you're short and you're a little frank with them. And so they pick up on that.
Mhm.
Just, hey, let me be a little moody, but everything's okay. And that's where communication thrives because you're just open, honest, and
Mhm.
upfront with it. But sometimes that can be too aggressive, especially if you are very sensitive. It's weird because a lot of people who are deeply insecure really misconstrue everything to like, oh,
Mhm.
this person hates me, this person doesn't love me anymore, especially if we're talking like romantic, but even platonic, like friend terms. I haven't heard from this girl in a while. Is she okay? Let me check in on her to see if she's okay, period.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to do with her and I. And that's something that I've had to be very like vocal about is hey, like I'm a very like squirrel attention span. So I'm just out here living my life. And I also fall off the face of the earth a few times. And it's just nothing personal. It's just me. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not talking to anybody. And if I haven't heard from you, then that's okay. Like the phone works both ways. I haven't heard from you and I'm working, busy, struggling, like,
Mhm.
dicking around and playing with my chickens. Like, I have a life, I have a whole life, and it is nice to just communicate that with someone. But again, when communication is seen as aggression, you're just like, how can I have these conversations with people that are a little like narrow minded or just like they assume everything is about themselves? So it's very tricky.
Mhm.
It has to be done. Somebody's got to do it because otherwise, like you and I both know that both women in particular will just be like silent treatment, whatever, but like the drama, the pettiness is still there. But you don't get anything from that. That's exhausting. That's annoying.
Yeah, and it's funny that thinking about it, especially as we've been talking about it, I think back to like, unfortunately, like people that all of a sudden they like turns out they were mad at me and I had no idea that they were mad at me and now they're spreading false rumors about me. It's like all of these people have one thing in common. They never came to me personally to tell me what it was that set them off, what I did that was wrong. Like they
Yeah.
never addressed someone saying that I was saying things to degrade their work or something like that. It's that that person didn't address such rumors with me. I didn't have a chance to address it with them. They and it's just that's the main thing that I've noticed over and over again is these people have, whether it was true or not, or whether it's like they just decided they were going to be against me because I rubbed one person the wrong way. All of a
Mhm.
sudden all these people are like, oh, don't support her, cancel her, unfollow her and her business. And it's if you're going to jump on the bandwagon and be their ride or die buddy, ask yourself like, why is it okay for like them to do that to another woman, try to cancel them, bully them? And
Mhm.
this person's out there trying to be like an advocate for mental health, especially in the veteran community, trying to say that they're all about spreading good things and supporting other women. It's like, wait a minute. But then here you are canceling this person. And if anyone were to reach out and be like, hey, what happened? Like, I answered the question, like, it's like, I have no idea. This person never came to me with these claims.
Mhm.
So the fact that they never addressed such concerns or issues or things that they didn't like with the said perpetrator, that speaks volumes. And then the fact that if you want to sit there and assume that I'm pointing the finger at you with something that I posted all day, it's like, before you go and assume that it's about you and you don't want to ask me about it, ask yourself if maybe there's something wrong internally, that you're taking it the wrong way, and maybe you need to step back away from social media for a little bit and work some stuff out within yourself, because I catch myself doing the same thing but then I laugh it off. It's
Yeah.
like, why would this person be talking about me? Of course not, right? Just laugh it off. I get away from my phone and yeah, it's probably it's just me in my head playing mind games with myself because yeah, I have insecurities, but that's the other thing about me and you, for example, that is we're beyond that petty, like creating fake drama in our head stage. Like we're at least past that. We're okay. We're working through our insecurities and we have no problem talking about them and saying, yeah, I know I have stuff to work on, but I'm working on it. And I have no problem saying that I messed up or I'm still learning. That's the biggest difference between us and other people that like everything just they just seem to know everything and what they say is always right and they're never wrong. It's That's a big red flag right there. Does this person that I like put on a pedestal, have they ever addressed anything that they've done wrong, ever apologized? Do they give me a chance to speak and do they listen to me? Are they genuinely helping me out? Because I support them. Do they support you right back? And I think that's the biggest thing, like, that I hate to see is I hate to see these women that like they are all about trying to get someone's money to, yeah, I'll coach you, or oh yeah, I'll do this, I'll support you, but you have to pay me for my advice. It's, the fact that like we're such gatekeepers in this community sometimes. It's like not everything has to cost money. If you're a good person, like just ask questions. And I don't know, that's my biggest pet peeve that I've noticed is like everyone's always looking at everyone's stuff and they're trying to like either copy or like trying to start rumors just to tear them down because they're out there putting themselves out there trying to do something. And that's why I think more people that probably want to start businesses don't, because they're afraid of that happening to them. And it's not right. They shouldn't be afraid. And the fact that, yeah, these people, they're out there trying to make it seem like it's so hard and all this and whatnot. And you've got to pay for their program in order to know what you're doing. It's no, there's people out there that if you start asking questions, they'll just answer because they truly want to help you out. And that was my biggest thing is I've always answered people's questions and help them out however I could. If I didn't know the answer to something, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but here's this person that might like, just ask yourself, what do you get out of having a friendship with someone that you might look up to? If they don't support you in a way that's helping you become a better person and further your goals, then why do you look up to them so much? Like,
Mhm.
they're probably toxic and they're probably holding you back.
Oh my God, yes. I get it. Some people also keep to themselves, and that's okay in whatever space. But in entrepreneurship, if you feel alone or lonely, like your people will come to you, and don't let these few, it's more than few, but these people taint the entire image because there are still some hardworking badass babes that are just staying in their lane. They're doing their best and they're doing it for the community because I think it gets a little messy when people are competing for money, I will say. Sometimes it's a little messy in the nonprofit sector, but I've just noticed that, like, I feel like maybe due to the current state of the economy and inflation, like, people are just after a dollar, and
Mhm.
through certain tactics, through certain behaviors, you're starting to see that. Maybe not always the fan base can pick up on that. Eventually they do, especially in our community, it's pretty small. Even just the general veteran community is still small. It's a small
Mhm.
world. It's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. And you don't have to like everyone, you don't have to vibe with everybody, but you can coexist in the peace and also not create chaos. Like, it's just that easy.
Mhm.
But it's gotten better. I feel like the more that we are vocal in general, like, the more people are like, "Oh, wow, like, I just got called out. I got caught. I'm not doing the right thing. Let me fix myself." Like, you don't have to be completely exiled unless, like, you do something, like, absolutely horrific and bad, but we're just asking, "Hey, people make mistakes, things happen, maybe you're slipping up or whatever," but it's more like, "Do better next time. Don't let this happen again." I don't understand the pushback when we're trying to hold these people accountable.
Yep.
I'm glad that we brought up, like, the subliminal messages and
Mhm.
the don't assume, ask.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else, because
I think we hit the big ones, the profiting, gatekeeping for sure, the asking yourself, like, okay, why am I trusting everything that this person is saying?
yeah,
Especially when they're trying to like change a lot of people's opinions about someone that they don't know. The group chats, it's just like high school all over again. And of course, we even hit on it sucks what should be a good space to support one another because, yeah, we do have it in common that like we wanted to serve our country, we wanted to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We should want to support one another because we've been through the same struggles and we're just out there trying to be better. And what is so wrong with that? I can't wrap it around my head. Just because we're the same, we're those type of people that just want to help others always, and it sucks having been taken advantage of. And being painted as this villain when it's, if you actually talk to me, I will show you behavior that's anything but what they are painting me to be. I actually am open and honest about stuff. And yeah, maybe I overshare, but that's not a bad thing. It means that I'm willing to answer tough questions. And like the other thing that I've noticed that is really funny to me, actually, I haven't brought it up, is a lot of the women that I used to put on a pedestal back when I was super insecure and in a bad, dark space, thinking I wasn't good enough, and over here criticizing myself. I'm the problem. I gotta do all these things to better myself. And I'm looking up to these women. I have sent women messages before and they went unanswered, never bothered to respond. But it's funny how they post photos and in the caption, they're like asking a question or they are trying to engage people in the comments of their page. They answer right away in the comments because it's public. So they're trying to paint this persona of, yeah, I support people and, whatnot. But it's like, my messages went unread. So you did anything but do what you said you were going to do, which is, yeah, I'm here to support you. Reach out. I did. What happened? But when those same people say are tagged in a story because something went wrong, they respond to that right away. Somehow, as busy as they must be and as many followers that they have, like they saw the story that they were tagged in right away. So it's, wow, I guess it takes asking you a question in my story and tagging you for you to actually want to respond right away. It's like, why are they so quick to want to make sure that their public image isn't tarnished? But why couldn't it take 5 minutes to respond to someone's message that's reaching out to you, being vulnerable, and they're simply doing it because you said you wanted to help other women? That's one of my biggest pet peeves that I've noticed with all these women, and no one thinks anything of that. It's, come on now, like how many times has this happened with this one person and you're still over there following them, liking all their stuff, but then on the other end you're messaging me saying, oh, I'm so glad that you're saying something about them because they did the same thing to me. But it's like, why do you keep supporting these people then? Ask yourself like why you keep, because I hate to say it, like I could care less who people follow and whatnot, but I hate especially to see like friends that I'm close to do that to themselves because I know they're probably going through the same headspace that I was in
Yeah.
before I said enough is enough. I'm blocking, muting, whatever it was to work on myself and not feel like I have to compare myself to someone that is being fake for
Yeah.
clout.
Yeah, and I think that's also it it's so heartbreaking, honestly, like, it's sad, and I feel that on so many levels, but I think it's more disappointing when you see someone that you do admire, that you look up to, and maybe, yeah, they're beautiful and they've got a great body and they're supposedly doing these great things, but then they treat you really shitty or like they just
Mhm.
don't even acknowledge you, and you know that they see it. We all check our message requests, especially if you're putting yourself out there. If you're a business, you're an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
you're a podcast page, a content creator, you go through your files, you see it. And right away, I can just tell you that person is just intimidated by you and they don't want to see you level up because then they'll feel like they're the ones that are
Mhm.
left.
Mhm.
It's sad and it's weird to say that, but that's how it is. And I can say that on both ends of the spectrum, as I've been that very deeply insecure person that reached out for help and just wanted some guidance and reached out to a really cool chick. And they just completely brushed me off like I'm
Mhm.
nobody, nothing, not even worth the time of day. And again, maybe they don't owe me anything, but the energy behind that speaks volumes about them. They're not actually empowering women. They're not a girl's girl. It's just a lot of keywords that they say that they are for their internet
Mhm.
persona. In real life, they're just a mean girl. They're still very insecure. They're very pick me. And yeah, people don't grow out of that. We might get older, but people don't grow out of those things. It's become deeply enmeshed in their psyche, but there are ways to unlearn it throughout the
Mhm.
years now that I've become more confident in myself and I'm not comparing myself and I'm not competing with other women. I'm in a better headspace, and definitely the undoing of the pick me is huge. Every woman should absolutely do that, because you'd be surprised just how much better you show up in your life when you're not triggered or overly sensitive or causing chaos, causing drama because you don't love yourself. And so you're going to feel threatened by women who are just innocently trying to be in the space or trying to be friends or just
Mhm.
asking you a question like, "Oh, hey girl, where did you get your dress at?" And they you can't afford it or
Yeah.
whatever clap back and you're just like, "What was that for?" I will say if I got it at Goodwill, I will let you know, so I'm sorry, or if I got it on Poshmark, but that's just me, like,
Mhm.
I've always just been that way, and that's why I feel like maybe I would never say that I'm better than them, but at least I'm better than that behavior, and I think that's huge. Hopefully, the ladies that are listening, I know you feel me, and y'all have definitely said it in the messages and the comments and the feedback that I get on this podcast is we can talk about a really sensitive, really maybe uncomfortable subject, but like really put some logic behind it and like really just get into each layer of it. Cause yeah, like anyone could just be like, oh yeah, girl, she's just jealous. But I explained to you why. And then why should that matter if you're just trying to be a businesswoman? Why do your looks play a role? Why does your background like you're just comparing for no reason? Sometimes you do feel like it is personal because it's like it's almost like it's part of the sisterhood, especially all this drama within female veteran. This isn't what sisters do to each other. Yeah, we're gonna bicker, we're gonna fight, but we're at the end of the day, we're supposed to love each other, yeah, or at least tolerate each other and help each other out and be there for each other. Please don't tell me, "Oh, check on your friends. Oh, I got your 6." Don't talk about it if you're not actually about it, 'cause
Yes.
we're starting to see how it's all just flare words to build a community, a false community on false pretenses, and then you wonder why people are upset with you. I just I don't know, it makes 0 sense, but I'm glad to see that there are still very real, authentic women in the space, the type of people that hold themselves accountable and that want to do better. So I think this was a really important discussion to have. And I'm really glad that you were brave enough to come on my podcast and put yourself out there, but also just really hash out this sensitive topic.
Mhm.
And that we're going to get backlash on it, but just know that we try to do this as respectable as possible.
We're
There's
not
people
calling
who
names.
yeah, no, we're not calling names because it's happened so many times. It's not just one person. It's
Mhm.
multiple different instances, different people, and sometimes you do rub elbows. So that's how you hear about these things happening. You're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm thinking about collabing with this person." And then some people are like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't." And you're just like, "Okay, let's sit down and think about that. Is this just gossip? Is this hearsay? Or is this like
Mhm.
a legit person that I need to be avoiding? Am I going to get scammed? Do I need to ask them to pay up front or something along those lines?" So it's like, all right, let's differentiate the two. Let's stick to what is important, what matters. And as long as people are just doing like you and I, you're going to encounter these people and there's a good way to handle it. And it's never stooping to their level, but it's also being willing to talk about it and share it with other people.
Mhm.
And it's not slander if it's true. I know what I said. Post the screenshots.
Mhm.
Care. Uh,
Exactly.
was I wrong? Do I wanna, like, literally lure another sheep into the wolf's den? No, absolutely not, and if had you told me that any of this would have happened when I first entered the space years ago, I would be like I'd sit down and think about it. I'm like, "Is it worth it? Or can I just do this on my own and
Yeah.
find the right people?" Because eventually they all come to you. The right
Mhm.
people always will support you in the end, and, you'll find your community. It's almost like we're forced to do all of that because of the drama and the shenanigans, and not even good shenanigans.
You're right, and it's unfortunate like that the bigger groups of people, I feel like they do it on purpose. They go and utilize things like empowerment and advocacy and trying to support one another, what have you. They use those specific topics to their advantage because they know people that want to, yeah, do like all of a sudden be like, women support women. Why don't we see more of that? People that are trying to be part of that movement, what have you, or advocacy, especially if they're a new face to advocacy because something happened and maybe they feel the courage to finally speak up about it. The fact that these people that are narcissists that just want to gain more clout for themselves, have a bigger platform, use that to their advantage is just gross behavior. And I hate to see it because we know it happens because they are trying to take advantage of women that have come forth and are trying to be part of this space because they acknowledge that they have insecurities, that they want to talk about something. And it really sucks seeing these people get taken advantage of and fall into the hands of narcissists that aren't looking out for them. They are going to do anything but what they say that they're going to do. And not only that, it's especially as like an upcoming entrepreneur or upcoming business owner, the longer you are around those people that just want to take for themselves and don't truly support you, the more you're putting yourself and your success off because you are so busy with supporting them and making sure that they don't get mad that you're doing something. It's if someone that's supposed to be your friend gets mad because you're out there trying to do your own thing, that is a huge red flag. And that I would hope that women take a step back and they're like, okay, I'm done. If you don't support me just because you think I'm trying to be better than you when you've been in this space for a long time and here I am just now starting, that's a red flag. Apparently, you present a threat to these people because, like, why would someone not encourage you to want to start? Like, every person, whether I knew them well or even when I was cautious about them because I didn't fully trust them, if they ever approached me with a question or do you think this is a good idea, like something of the sorts, no matter how I feel, I know within myself, I came into the space to want to support other people because I'm all about good karma and good karma only. And I know I'm doing the right thing no matter what rumors are spread and whatnot. Like, I've always 100% supported anyone that has come to me and like, we're vulnerable and we're like, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think I should start this? Yes, do it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with trying because as long as you don't quit, technically you didn't lose anything. Like,
Mhm.
you're only gaining by starting. And yeah, it might not turn success and profit right away, but that's what happens. And
Mhm.
I just hate to see people really stopping themselves from reaching their potential because they just don't start and because they're so worried about other people in the space thinking that they're trying to go against them or oh I shouldn't do that because they do that. Who cares?
Do your thing.
Hmm.
You're gonna hold yourself back with worrying about anybody and everybody else, and
Take care of yourself.
yeah, that's preaching to the choir because that's also personally held me back so many times, even still to this day. So it's like a matter
Hmm.
of telling this person in here to shut up and just do. And you'd be surprised how quickly you get into the swing of things, even if you're just like winging it. And if you do have a good crowd of people that you can ask, but it's it should be this, like, good, wholesome community that, like, I guess you see on LinkedIn. It's gonna have you're gonna have these issues anywhere, everywhere, but I guess it's just a matter of, like, how you handle yourself and then being okay with not being liked, but also, "Hey, this isn't my group of people. There's still some good, wholesome people in this community anyway. It's just those just aren't it, and that's okay." I don't understand the whole thing about being selective. Yeah, there's just room for everyone at the table, and I think at a certain age, just people can pick up on the behaviors of
Hmm.
others, and at the end of the day, that's just who they have to sit with. You have to sit with yourself and be like, "Wow, I'm really doing all of these things," but I don't even think that they're able to have that type of, self-awareness, but I don't wanna be anything like that, I don't wanna be near it, but I have found my people, and there's far and few in between, but you do find those great people that are like that, and you're just like, "You know what? I trust your judgment. You're not just another yes person." Because you could surround yourself with a bunch of people that are like, "Oh, yes, girl. Yes. Yes to anything you're doing, even if it's self-destructive, even if
Mhm.
it's too risky or if it sounds sketchy." You don't want yes people around you. You want people that genuinely do support you and can guide you. Um,
Mhm.
but in this space, it's more of just like, okay, wow, this is the current situation. Let's do something about this because you don't want that to be the general theme or just the constant like problem. It's wow,
Mhm.
okay, we're still not over this. We're still like it's weird, and gatekeeping is just, like, the perfect word for it. It's like, "What do you mean you have this idea? Oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're a veteran. No, you can't come in." I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's who? This is a free country. I do what I want." So,
Mhm. The quote that's people at the top aren't there's no competition. They're collaborating. They're
yeah.
not competing against one another. That I hate to say it, but it's true. So if you see someone that's claiming to be successful and whatnot, take it
A grain of salt, and it sucks that you have
exactly.
to do that, though, but I think it's almost like acknowledging whether you're cognizant of it, that you put these people on a pedestal, but at the end of the day, they're human.
Mhm.
There and allow them grace and sympathy where it's appropriate and not always, because sometimes you're going to excuse your friend's behavior just because they're your friend, but they're going to do it to you,
Mhm.
or something's just going to happen that's just not going to rub you the right way. And are you going to keep enabling their behavior, or are you going to be like, hey girl, you got to stop, I don't
Mhm.
appreciate that, or just something. It's really about the company you keep, because you'll probably pick up on some of those bad habits, but sometimes it's always just good to, amongst everything and after it all, it's more okay, that's a good example of what not to be like.
Mhm.
You mentioned walls earlier, and that is huge. There's a difference between boundaries and walls. And it's bad if people in the community feel a little jaded, that they don't know who to trust, because that's
Mhm.
just the type of environment that we've allowed
Breed
you,
it.
yeah, to get to this point. So it's just something's got to give. Conversations have to be had. Uh,
Mhm.
and also, no response is a response, because sometimes you can try to communicate with someone
Mhm.
and they don't respond to you. They leave you on red, or you have to leave them on red because it's not for the purpose of actually communicating and improving the situation. Sometimes there's traps. Sometimes they just want to corner you so that you react, and that's weird too.
Mhm.
And so sometimes people are like, Jessica, why did you react that way? And I'm like, trust me when I say I forgave a lot and I let a lot of things go, and then I was eventually cornered, and I'm gonna react. Like, there's this thing called reactive abuse. It's like when someone, like, mentally, emotionally, in some type of way abuses someone else, and then when they finally just they've had enough, the person that's being abused, or mistreated is the good word. They finally just they scream, they cry, they break down, they yell, they react to it accumulating so much, of letting go,
Mhm.
forgiving. And so I can see how some people are like, "Oh, wow, okay, she's the crazy one. She's doing this, that, and the third." And it's like, "No, dude, I'm just hurt." But now, because unfortunately this has happened a couple of times to me, I'm like, "Okay, there's a pattern here. I'm gonna respond differently, and I'm just gonna walk away." Sometimes you gotta take it into legal hands, then it will, but I'm not gonna let it steal my peace. I'm not gonna let it change me. And those are just some of the lessons that I've learned with all of this, the years of witnessing this or being a part of, and it's yeah, it's just one of those things. I guess overall, what would you say that, like, your biggest lesson walking away from this is?
It's looking back and seeing where I'm headed and where I'm at right now and where I was before. I can gladly say, proudly too, stand behind my words. I don't regret speaking up and saying my piece and putting out my experience and my truth out there whatsoever. I know that's been like, I talked to you about that. Oh, I don't know if I want to do this because I don't want people to paint me as this big dramatic person that's just like constantly trying to call people out always. But it's like, there's a reason why it still doesn't sit right with me, and why inside it's like there's a little voice that's put it out there. Who cares if you lose people because you are doing that? Like, that means that they don't have any business in your life because they don't truly support you. Like, there's a reason why people are like, okay, I don't want to support her because she's like being honest and vulnerable. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't need those people in your life anyways. I'll also say I'm really glad that doing such has allowed people to reach out to me, and I've been able to make connections. And now I'm finally starting to have a small handful of people that I know are going to be there through thick and thin, be there for the good and the bad. And now I'm able to see, okay, yeah, I can trust this person because this person was with me through it all. And like, truly, like, I definitely feel like the connections that me and you have made like together since talking and like putting our story out there, like, we stick together. And like, the more people that like you find that are like you and are willing to do the same thing, like, we are a force to be reckoned with. So putting out the truth and how you feel, it's hard, but coming from someone that has now done it multiple times on multiple podcasts, and I'm going to keep doing it,
Yeah.
and I encourage you to keep doing it too. It's just ask yourself, if, oh, do I want to sit here and listen to the same people talk about it without saying something when I have something to say? Like,
Yeah.
if people that you reach out to are like, oh yeah, let's hear it. We're here to support you and to put yourself out there to better yourself. Or do I want to sit here and be a listener for the rest of my life and keep everything that I'm going through in my head? And it just gets worse and worse, because the moment I start speaking up and voicing out my concerns and venting and what have you, is the day that I notice a change in myself, and things started to turn around. They might not turn around right away, but they start getting better from that day forward, because you said enough is enough. I'm not going to keep fighting this war in my head, because things could go south real quick. And if you feel like you don't have anyone, it takes a lot to pull yourself out of that negative, dark spot that I know me and you have both been in, and to be able to say, yeah, I overcame that. And now I'm here to put out my story, what have you. Good people will find themselves. I guess at the end of the day, speak out, find your people. Don't be scared of what comes with the truth.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was really well put. And I'm just so proud of you, Jennifer. I know that this isn't easy, but you've gotten on multiple platforms now and really just shared your piece in the most graceful and classy way possible. So I really applaud you for that. And yeah, thank you for coming on and just being vulnerable and just sharing and talking about this very delicate side to women's psyche, women's emotions, and how it just like seeps into multiple realms and how bad it can be.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's a very important discussion to be had. So thank you again for joining me. Where can people find you at?
My personal page is Jennifer on AUN altogether on Instagram, and my business is peachtales.apparel on Instagram, and it's peachtales.com online. And yeah, I'm working on trying to start my own personal brand, but more on that on my Instagram later on when I'm ready. But yeah.
Okay, guys, y'all better follow her. Check her out. She shares the funniest memes and has the cutest dog. And yeah, thank you again, Jennifer, for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Of course.